What does Walt Disney have to tell us about entrepreneurship? Well, excerpt number 1. Hello, my friends. I'm Ray Keating, an economist, a novelist, and editor and publisher of DisneyBizJournal.substack.com. So, in this podcast, we look at Disney or Disney-related news, stories, insights, debates, discussions, lessons, and a heck of a lot more. This episode is going to be the first of a series, something very different than what I've done before. We're going to concentrate on my book, 10 Points from Walt Disney on Entrepreneurship. And we're going to go through some excerpts. Now, Walt, of course, is one of the greatest entrepreneurs of the 20th century. The book taps into Walt's wisdom for insights on what it means to be an entrepreneur, on embracing entrepreneurship, the challenges of entrepreneurship, learning a whole host of lessons for the entrepreneurial journey. It brings together my career, my background as an economist who has largely focused on entrepreneurship and small business, as well as my work on the Disney front. So we're going to explore some excerpts from the book. Hopefully, they'll provide some inspiration for you on your own entrepreneurial journey, and hopefully provide some inspiration for you to get the book at raykeatingbooksandmore.com. Let's hope so. But this is going to be very different. And so we're going to read some excerpts. I don't normally like reading in a video format, so I may feel a little awkward. I hope you don't. But I think it's worthwhile hitting on these points to help you think about Walt Disney as an entrepreneur and what that might mean for you if you're interested in becoming an entrepreneur or you are an entrepreneur. So first off, we're going to talk about what I hit on in the books is talking about two kinds of entrepreneurship, two kinds of entrepreneurs, and how Walt really was unique in fitting into each category. So, from the book, economist Joseph Schumpeter emphasized the innovative entrepreneur who drives the process of creative destruction, whereby new products and industries overturn the old. In this sense, the entrepreneur is a creator. I go on to point out other entrepreneurs, as economist Israel Kirzner has pointed out, discover and act on existing but previously unnoticed profit opportunities. So we take those two types of entrepreneurs, and then we look at Walt, right? Walt's credentials as a Schumpeter entrepreneur, that is, an entrepreneur who introduced products and advancements that, depending on one's perspective, either created new industries or dramatically transformed existing industries. These are considerable. He played the central role in launching the animation motion picture industry. Walt and the innovators he worked with and led created the first cartoon with fully synchronized sound, Steamboat Willie, released in November 1928, featuring, of course, Mickey Mouse. And in July 1932, Walt Disney released one of his Silly Symphony animated shorts, Flowers and Trees, which was the first full-color cartoon, and it used Technicolor. And in 1937, Walt Disney took the giant step forward with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which was the first animated full-length film feature. These leaps forward established the essentials of animation that prevail to this very day. No one before Flowers and Trees could produce a high-quality color cartoon. Prior to Snow White, no one ever thought that animation could be used for a feature-length film. And Walt Disney later spread his entrepreneurial wings further. He essentially created the theme park industry with the opening of Disneyland in Anaheim, California in July 1955. Amusement parks post-World War II were on a severe decline, but Walt envisioned something different. Rather than a hodgepodge of rides and carnival-like booths wedged randomly together, often in a somewhat unsavory, less than clean environment, Walt looked to create a park with themed lands that would appeal to children, parents, and grandparents. Disneyland truly the sole vision of Walt, gave birth to the theme park industry. Along the way, Walt Disney and his brother, Roy, saw opportunities to create value that others didn't, and in this way lined up with Kerzner's take on entrepreneurship. For example, the idea of offering branded products linked to particular fictional characters or movies was around, but it was Walt and Roy Disney who truly launched the merchandise industry that we know today. Merchandising for Disney started as a largely unfulfilled possibility with a contract tied to Disney's Alice comedies, according to Bob Thomas's Building a Company, Roy O. Disney and the Creation of an Entertainment Empire. Good book, by the way. Then Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, according to the Walt Disney Family Museum, landed on a button, a stencil set, and marshmallow coated in chocolate. But in his book, Walt Disney, An American Original, Thomas, again, noted that Oswald was licensed for the publicity value. Thomas went on to explain that in late 1929, Walt took a $300 offer to put Mickey Mouse on school writing tablets. That was followed by Roy signing a contract in February 1930 to license Minnie and Mickey Mouse for figures and toys. 2 years later, the Disney brothers signed a contract with Herman K. Kamen to represent the company on the merchandise front, and the salesmanship of Mickey Mouse produced seemingly miraculous results. Finally, Walt Disney's entrepreneurial vision was on display when he spotted opportunities with the arrival of television in the homes of Americans. While other movie studios feared that television would steal their audiences, Walt Disney saw television as an opportunity to produce shows as well as to be used as a kind of advertising for his movies and for the arrival of Disneyland. In fact, ABC helped fund Disneyland in exchange for an hour-long Walt Disney television show on its then struggling network. Walt used a few episodes of the show to build excitement for Disneyland with progress reports, close quote. A lot there that we see from Walt Disney and his brother Roy as entrepreneurs. We're going to explore more in the coming episodes of this series. For now, I hope you'll subscribe to DisneyBizJournal.substack.com. Become a paid subscriber, and you get what? Guess what? You get three free books, easy for me to say. One being 10 Points from Walt Disney on Entrepreneurship, also the Disney Planner, and 1950s Sci-Fi. You could also buy these books and other books by me over at RayKeatingBooksAndMore.com. I hope you enjoy this first in a very different series that I'm trying. I hope you find value in it, and hey, have a magically productive day.